Have you ever stayed in a place that felt just a little off? A place where something strange seemed to be watching you? There's a motel in Mississippi with a door that never quite stays shut, no matter how hard you try. Get ready for a spooky tale that will send shivers down your spine. Deep in the heart of Mississippi, there's a small, dusty town with an old, rundown motel. It's the kind of place you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. A faded sign, flickering lights, and creaky wooden steps leading up to the entrance. But this wasn't just any motel. The locals called it the door that never closes for a very strange reason, room number 13. People who stayed in room 13 said that no matter how hard they tried to close the door, it always crept open. Even if they locked it tight, it would slowly swing open on its own, as if something or someone wanted to come inside. One rainy evening, a curious boy named Sam and his family were driving through Mississippi, looking for a place to stay. They had been on the road for hours, and the rain was coming down hard. The windshield wipers squeaked as they swiped back and forth, barely able to keep up with the storm. "There's a motel up ahead," Sam's mom said, pointing to the dim lights in the distance. Finally, Sam's dad sighed, relieved. "We'll stop there for the night." The car pulled into the empty parking lot, and Sam squinted at the old building through the rain. It looked old and spooky, but Sam didn't mind. He loved ghost stories and strange places, and this motel seemed like the perfect adventure. As they checked in, the friendly woman behind the desk smiled warmly. "We only have one room left tonight. It's room 13. Hope that's okay." Sam's mom raised an eyebrow. "Room 13? Isn't that supposed to be unlucky?" The woman chuckled. "Oh, don't you worry about that. It's just a number." But Sam, always up for something spooky, felt a thrill of excitement. He heard stories about haunted places, and this seemed like one of them. After they got the key, the family made their way to room 13. The rain pounded harder against the roof, and thunder rumbled in the distance. Sam's dad pushed open the door, and they all rushed inside, shaking off the rain. "Phew. Glad we're out of that storm," his dad said, wiping his forehead. But as they settled in, something strange happened. The door to the room, which Sam's dad had firmly closed, creaked open just a little. Sam noticed it first. "Hey, did you guys close the door?" His dad nodded. "Yeah, I locked it." But there it was, open just an inch. Sam's mom got up and shut it again, this time making sure it was locked. "Must have been the wind," she said, trying to sound calm. But Sam had a funny feeling. "Maybe it's a ghost," he joked, though a part of him wasn't sure if he was joking at all. The night went on, and Sam's family settled into their beds. The rain outside had slowed to a soft drizzle, and everything was quiet. Sam was just starting to drift off to sleep when he heard it creak. The door was opening again. Sam sat up in bed, his heart pounding. The door was open wider this time, maybe 2 or 3 inches. He glanced at his parents, who were fast asleep, and slowly slid out of bed to check. He tiptoed to the door and peered into the dark hallway. No one was there. Carefully, he shut the door and locked it again. But as soon as he turned to walk away, creak, it opened just a little behind him. Sam's heart raced. Something wasn't right. He hurried back to bed and pulled the blankets over his head. Maybe if he ignored it, it would stop. But the door didn't stop. Creak, it opened a little wider, as if something unseen was pushing it from the other side. Sam couldn't take it anymore. "Mom. Dad. The door." His parents woke up with a start, confused by Sam's shouting. His dad jumped out of bed and rushed to the door. "What's going on?" his dad asked, frowning as he looked at the slightly open door. "I swear, it keeps opening on its own," Sam said, his voice trembling. Sam's dad sighed, clearly not believing it was anything serious. "It's just an old door, Sam. Probably the wind or something." He closed the door and wedged a chair under the doorknob to keep it shut. "Now it won't open," his dad said, returning to bed. Sam wasn't so sure, but he felt a little safer now. The chair was blocking the door. It couldn't possibly open again, right? Wrong. In the dead of night, as the family slept, the door creaked once more. This time, the chair slid away on its own, as if an invisible hand had pushed it. Slowly, the door opened wide, letting in a cold gust of air. Sam shivered under his blankets, too scared to move. The room was quiet, too quiet. Then, out of nowhere, a soft whisper echoed through the room. "Help me." Sam's eyes widened. He wasn't imagining it. There was something, or someone, here. Gathering all his courage, Sam slipped out of bed and stood in front of the open door. "Who's there?" he whispered. A cold breeze brushed past him, and in the dim light of the hallway, Sam saw a shadowy figure, just for a moment. It looked like a young woman, her face sad and tired. "Please, help me," the voice whispered again. Sam's heart raced, but he somehow knew she wasn't trying to scare him. She needed help. "What do you want?" Sam asked softly. The figure pointed toward the back of the room, where an old painting hung on the wall. Sam had noticed it earlier, but hadn't thought much of it. Now, he felt drawn to it. He slowly approached the painting and lifted it off the wall. Behind it, hidden in a small crack, was a folded piece of paper. Sam carefully opened it. It was an old letter, yellowed with age. The words were hard to read, but it told the story of a young woman who had once stayed in this very room. She had disappeared mysteriously, and no one had ever found out what happened to her until now. The whisper came again, softer this time. "Thank you." And just like that, the door finally closed. If you enjoyed this spooky adventure and want to hear more exciting ghost stories, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We have tons of creepy tales, mysteries, and fun stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss the next one. The next morning, Sam and his family packed up quickly, eager to leave the motel. But as they drove away, Sam couldn't help but glance back at room 13. The door was finally shut, but for how long?